any of the exercises, because you all did your exercises last week, correct? Yeah, good. Chapter 1, we're on chapter 2 today. Did anybody have any questions, problems, anything at all? Here it goes up, it only takes 1 minute. Yes?
I just thought it was interesting to know when to overtake your partner's winner. That
Where was
came
that?
up a couple of times. I'm looking for him right now. I can't.
I don't remember seeing that in
Yeah,
chapter 1.
for transportation purposes, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you needed to have access to, be.
Was that for a declarer thing or a
Yeah.
defender?
It's exercise
Yeah.
4. It's one.
Yeah.
Let me just look it up here.
It's the third hand.
Exercise 4. Which one? Leading a low card.
Number 3.
Number 3. Oh, okay. Yes, okay. Well, you don't necessarily know, but you have to try to count. Like, did your partner support you at all? If not, they might only have 2. And the thing is, you can see when she, you lead low to the king, she's gonna lead the jack back. So again, she could lead the jack back from 3 little, but the chances are if she hasn't supported you, that might be a doubleton, and you don't wanna take the chance that it's not. You can see 3 and dummy, right? So you're gonna play low, the 3 to the king, she's gonna play the jack back, and it's not 100% clear, but the idea is that, I think, let me just see what happened. Did we have any bidding here? No. No, so in that particular case, you're not gonna know for sure, all right? But you know that if she's got 3, that the declarer only has 2, so you can overtake it, and no matter who has the other one, your ace will capture it. Does that make sense? It's just by counting. So you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, and dummy. Your partner's shown up with 2, right? Because they led it again. So the declarer either has 2 or 3. And no matter what, if you overtake it, your ace will capture that next one just by counting, and then you'll have the 2 remaining. So it's a matter of counting.
Okay, and I also go to exercise 3, number 4, page 4.
3.
Okay.
Exercise 3, number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I lead the king.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on lead. I lead the king to the sequence. My partner knows to take the ace.
Well, to be fair, I'm gonna put the 6 on there first. This is a little more advanced stuff. But the thing is, if you know that your partner leads from king, queen, jack,
Right. Where are you?
we're on
Exercise
page
3.
30, exercise 3, number 4,
Okay, thanks.
okay? Now, again, I would put the 6 on, and my partner would continue. Now I would overtake the ace and then return it back to them. That's what I would do. But they're saying that because you know your partner, and again, sorry, just a spasm. Because in a no trump contract, you lead from a sequence of 3, so you have the king, queen, jack, or the broken sequence, king, queen, 10. So, and that's what you lead from. You do not lead from king, queen in a no trump contract. You would lead low, okay? In a suit, you would lead from king, queen, because you're not gonna develop your long suit, you just want that trick, okay? There's a difference there. So your partner knows what, and again, this is an exercise in knowing what your partner's lead means, okay? Because, and it's very important when you lead that your partner does know, and that you'll find good partnerships will always understand what their partner's lead means, because you've practiced a lot and you know. But when you lead the king in no trump, you've got the queen and either the jack or the 10, because that's what the lead says. Otherwise, you don't lead the king. So your partner knows that, so they can overtake it. Again, I would not overtake the first one. I'd put the 6 on there. Again, we're gonna get to that a little bit later with attitude signals. So our partner would continue, and I would then overtake it and return it back to them. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
Debbie, I just one question on that one, that number 4, exercise 4, number 3, where it was the king jack.
Uh-huh.
When they played king, then jack,
Uh-huh.
doesn't that tell you it's a doubleton because they went higher?
Well,
or is that
again,
usually only?
you could lead low from, but I'm always gonna lead the top, generally speaking, unless I've got severe length in the suit. So I would lead the jack back if I had king, jack 3. in order to trap up what I'm assuming Declare's honor would be. Because if I lead low, it might not be as obvious. And then also, if my jack is good, I've successfully blocked the suit.
Okay.
And I'm trying to unblock, so that's what I'm doing. So I take my king, then I lead the jack back. Even if I've got jack little or just the jack, I will return it, and then my partner has to figure out what to do from there.
But I was thinking that if you went high-low, it told your partner it was a double.
Well, it's not a high-low, you're just going third hand high.
Okay.
So it's always gonna be the high. You would do that if you had 4 of them.
Okay.
You
And
know what I
that's
mean? You'd
typically-
still go your third hand
Okay.
high, so, yep. Okay, any other questions? All right, so today we're gonna do chapter 2, okay? Chapter 2, so the chapter 1, we talked about opening leads. Again, the opening leads are so important because the opening lead is your first opportunity to start on your defensive plan and to attack the declarer right off the bat. After he gets control, because you're in control in the opening lead. Once he gets control, he might be more in charge. So this is your first opportunity to get in there and make a attack for your side. And we talked on the last chapter, the first chapter, about opening leads in no trump. And in no trump, generally speaking, you are trying to establish your long suit at the same time that the declarer is trying to establish their long suit to make enough tricks to defeat the contract, right? On a suit contract, trumping and shortages and all that stuff comes into play. You're not going to establish your long suit, generally speaking, because that's why they're in a trump suit to begin with. By the time you knock out the high ones to establish your little ones, right, the declarer or dummy is going to be able to trump them. Do we all agree? So your goals are going to be different. Your leads are going to be different. All right? And just like we did with no trump, we're going to start by figuring out what suit we're going to lead first. And then once we've decided the suit, what card we lead within that suit, right? And again, choosing the suit, if your partner has bid versus your partner hasn't bid, makes a big difference. All right? If your partner has bid a suit, you generally, if you don't have another reason not to, you want to lead your partner's suit. Generally speaking, because they bid it or overcalled it for a reason. They've got some strength in it, we hope, right? And we want to try to get their high cards before the declarer can discard them or get rid of them some other way. All right? So again, your long suit is probably not going to be a particularly good source of tricks in a suit contract because your long suit will be trumped by them at some point. Remember, they're in a suit contract on purpose. If you have a long suit, that's probably their shortage, right? Not always, but generally. Also, who leads a suit is really important, and I don't think people, especially newer players, think about that as much. If you take a look, I'm at the bottom of page 48, okay? So if you take a look at this suit, this is your long suit, right? And in a no trump contract, I think a lot of us might lead this suit, right? And declarer would take his ace and his queen. He would get 2 tricks because we let it, right? But then after that, hopefully we get back in, we would have established 3 tricks in the suit in no trump, right? In trump, that's not going to happen because our long suit is going to eventually be trumped on this particular case. The declarer only has 2 of them. So if you lead this suit, they will get 2 tricks in this suit and you will get 0. All right? So this might not be a good suit for you to lead in a suit contract. You might want to choose something else. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, thinking about who should lead the suit. So if you think about it, if the King Jack declarer has been, they're in a contract for a reason, you would probably not want to lead this suit at all if you're on lead against a suit contract. But think of how important it is to let your partner know if your partner gets on lead, if they lead this suit. If they lead this suit, you will get a trick in this suit. If you lead the suit, you will get 0. And people forget that a lot. Sometimes it's really important who leads the suit. Sometimes you don't have to lead a suit, you just have. We're going to learn later on how to tell your partner, this is the suit I would prefer you to lead me, please. Okay? If you take a look, I'm on page 49. Again, on this particular case, they ended up in 6 spades. Good for them. You have this lovely hand, and at some point, your partner opened the bidding with 1 heart, and they still went to 6 spades. That is just rude. But it does happen, and it shows how important distribution is. So on this particular lovely hand that you have, you would lead your partner's suit, right? And what would you lead? The 7, the top of your doubleton, okay? Now, I want to tell you, and this is something also very important, especially when you get into defense. You cannot defend a contract by yourself. You cannot. I mean, you can try, but you won't be very successful most of the time, I'm going to tell you. You have to work with your partner, all right? If you're not paying attention to the cards your partner's playing, you will not be successful. Because your partner can be over there saying, this is what you should lead me, but if you're just sitting there, I'm waiting for my coffee break, you're never going to know, right? So it's very important that you pay attention when you're playing. Bridge is an active game. Well, to do it well. If you just want to go on to the next hand and see if you got some cards, that's fine. But to play it well and to defend well, it's an active, you have to work with your partner. If you're not paying attention, you've lost half the game, okay? So it's really important. So your partner, when you lead the 7, will know what that means. You've got a singleton, a doubleton, or that's the only top one you have, okay? And they can base it from there. Now, if you take a look at the top of page 50, it shows an example of why this is so important, okay? You look at your hand with your 0 points. Well, you got a 10, I think, in there, right? So it's not technically a Yarbo. Yeah, you do have a 10, all right? But if you lead any suit other than your partner's suit, the declarer is going to make 6 spades, all right? But if you see you lead your 7 of hearts, right? Your partner is going to play, they're going to play the what?
Oh,
The 10, the highest one they need to win the trick. We're going to learn that later on. All right, that's going to force out declarer's ace, right? But look how important it is. In order for the declarer to make his contract, he has to set up some tricks and diamonds, correct? Who's going to get on lead with the ace of diamonds? Who has another good heart trick? Okay? If you decide to lead, say, the 10 of clubs, because I don't want to do anything, well, he can now take his clubs, force out the ace of diamonds, right, after pulling trump, of course. But now he can discard his losing heart on one of the diamond tricks. So the open lead makes it six spades down, 1, 6 spades down. Ooh, 6 spades made. Take a look at the lead, the 10 of clubs. Okay? So it's really important to think about the bidding and what the lead means. All right? So again, you can never go wrong leading your partner's suit. It usually makes a partner happy. Okay? Especially when you don't have another alternative. If you're going to decide to lead your own suit, well, then you have to take a look and see what card you would want to lead. Generally speaking, a sequence in a suit contract is much better than low down, fourth down. All right? Sometimes you have to lead low from because you don't have anything else. But at top of a sequence, you'll find gives the declarer nothing extra because you are promoting tricks in your suit. All right? And I'm going to tell you one thing to keep in mind. Try not to give the declarer anything extra, if you can help it. That's what you should think about on defense. Am I helping my side? Am I helping the declarer's side when you lead the suit? That's what you want to think about because it's really, really important. So if you take a look at the hand at the bottom of page 50, you have a couple alternatives. In a no-trump contract, you would probably lead the 4 of hearts, your long suit, hoping to promote it. In a suit contract, you need your partner to have an awful lot of help in that suit in order to promote some heart tricks. Do we all agree? Chances are not so likely that they have that help. Remember, because again, they're in 4 spades, and you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points. How many points do you think your partner has? Not much, right? There's 25, 40 high card, but they've got 25 to be in game, right? Ish. Okay? Ish. Because there's always distribution, all right? But if they've got 25 and you've got 11, that would get you up to 36. Your partner might have 4 points, maybe. All right? that is an important thing to think about. Because if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna lead because my partner's gonna have something, and they can't possibly have more than 1 point, probably gonna disappoint you when you lead that suit, right? So you wanna think about that, where the points are. You get all that information from the bidding, okay? But when you've got 11 points on defense, and they're in game, chances are your partner doesn't have too much, okay? They might surprise you with a jack over there, you never know, okay? But anyway, what you would do is you would want to lead the king of diamonds to promote a trick. Now, if your partner has the ace, not very likely, but could happen somehow, it still won't hurt you. You will promote tricks on your side. If the declarer has the ace, which is far more likely, you have still promoted probably 2 tricks on your side, the king, the queen, and the jack, right? And again, when you're leading, you're talking to your partner, you would not lead the jack, even though they're all the same. You lead the king, so your partner knows. And you got the king, you got the queen, and probably the jack, or maybe the jack, okay? If you lead the jack, you have the 10, all right? Not the queen. So it's really important when you're leading that you talk to your partner. Again, you only have 3 diamonds. So chances of the declarer being terribly short in diamonds, not as likely. Now, it could be, you know, your partner might be sitting over there with 8 of them or something like that. But more likely than not, you will promote 2 tricks in this suit by leading the king. Does everybody see that? Yeah? Okay. All right. And it gives you some examples on how defense works on page 51. I think it's really a good use you can see. If you were to lead the 4 of hearts on this suit, right? Dummy's going to play low, all right? Well, your partner has to go 3rd hand high, the ace, because they don't need to know if you're leading 4 from jack, 4 from the king, 4 from the king's there, 4 from the queen. But the thing is, if they play low, declarer is going to win with their jack. Well, that's not good, okay? All right? So you would have to come up, and that would automatically promote a trick for the declarer side. They would get their king. Does everybody see that? Now let's see what happens if you decide not to lead the suit. And this is what I want you to see, because who leads the suit is very, very, very important in bridge, okay? Let's say you don't lead the suit, you led someone else, okay? And the declarer is forced to play this suit on their own. What are they going to do? Well, they might lead the jack from their hand, right? Play the queen, they play the king, your partner plays the ace, and now you have the 10 and the 9 as good tricks in this suit. So you will get 2 tricks, well, they'll probably trump the second one, but you will get 2 tricks in this suit. Does everybody see that? Whereas if you led it on the opening lead, you will only get 1. That's a difference of 1 trick on defense and 1 extra trick for the declarer. Not good for defense, okay? Remember, we don't want to give declarer freebies. If you take a look at the next one, it gives you another example of when you're leading low. This time your partner can't even contribute much. They only put the 9 on. So now declarer wins the jack, and they still have the ace and the king. So you have no winners in this suit. So you leading this suit has prevented your side from getting any tricks. Whereas if you look at declarer, if declarer has to do it, well, what are they going to do? Very likely they're going to go up to the ace, right? And then they're going to come back and they're going to finesse the jack, right? That would be a logical thing, right? If that happens, you'll get your queen. So you'll get a trick in this suit. So if you play it, you get 0 tricks if you lead it. If they lead it, you'll get a trick in the suit. Does that make sense a little bit? And if they play the jack, you'll cover with the queen, they'll play the ace, but that will promote your 10 or your partner's 9-8 somewhere. You see that? Okay, so when you leading, it makes a difference. If you take a look at the one at the bottom, again, here, if you were to lead this in no trump, it's no problem, okay? But if you lead this in a suit contract, and then when I say it's no problem, they will get 2 tricks, but you will establish some tricks on your own in a no trump contract. Does that make sense? But if you look at it, if you lead this suit against a suit contract, well, they'll play low. If you lead the 3, they'll play low. They'll win their queen. The ace is still good, and you will have gotten no tricks in the suit because now they can trump them. All right? So again, leading a sequence is so much more important. Now, you don't always have a sequence, and we're going to get into that too. But again, you want to try to make the best lead for your side and the least helpful side lead for the opponent, the declarer, okay? The unbid suits, I'm on page 52 now, okay? So we've talked about when we have a suit to lead and our partner has bid a suit, sometimes we don't have either of those, but we still have to listen to the bidding because the bidding does give you information on points, who has what, and the shape, who has what suits. So if you look at the example here on page 52, declarer opens a spade, his partner bids 2 diamonds, he raises to 3 diamonds, his partner goes 3 spades and shows 4 spades. So can everybody just review that bidding, by the way? Opener opens a spade, right? How many points does North have? 10 or more, right? And they've got some diamonds. Okay, their partner bids 3 diamonds, so his partner's got some diamonds too, and decides to raise his diamonds. Did not bid no trump, notice that. Right? Raised his partner, because who wants to be in diamonds when we can be in no trump, right? So that gives you a little flag that South has a little issue, right, somewhere? Okay. Then North bids 3 spades. How many spades does North have? At least, well, he's got 3, okay? At least 3, but at least 3, because he made a forcing bid. And so he goes to 4. Again, if you had like a limit raise, you would go to 4. Limit raise, you would be 1 spade, 3 spades, you wouldn't do that old 2 diamond bid thing, okay? And they're only showing an invitational hand, so they've got basically a limit raise with 3 pieces on this auction. Yes?
Is that 2 diamonds, sure 5 diamonds? or
Only
can it be
promises
4?
4. A minor only promises 4. A major promises 5. So if he had bid 2 hearts, he would definitely have 5 hearts. But with a minor, because minors are generally stepping stones to no trump, you don't promise 5.
How come he just did, if he had 3 spades north, why didn't he just go to 3 spades?
Because the definition of a limit raise is 4 pieces. Yep. Okay? They don't tell you in the book, but for those of you who took the beginning class with me, you should have it written in your book. So go back there to the limit raises. Because if they won't say it in the book that you only need 4, that you must have 4. But I told you you did, and you will never see an example anywhere in the book where they don't have 4 on that bidding because you must have 4. Okay? Anyway, and that's how you know. I just wanted to go over that so you can determine when you're on defense, looking at that bidding, what's going on, okay? All right, so take a look at your hand. So based on that bidding, they've only bid spades and diamonds. So what are you gonna leave? You have the jack of diamonds as a sequence. Do you think that's gonna garner you anything? No, okay. What about spades? Do you think leading a spade, a trump will? Okay. So you have 2 suits, right? Now generally, I don't like to lead away from kings in a suit contract. But again, the bidding gave you information. They're not in no trump for a reason, okay? And they did not bid 2 suits. So we would want to bid then, we would want to lead one of those suits, okay? We would lead the hearts or the clubs. Which card would we lead? We'd lead low from, right? So we'd lead either the 3 of hearts or the 5 of clubs. Now it's a crapshoot which ones work. Personally, I would lead the hearts because generally if somebody's looking for hearts, it comes up in the bidding because it's a major. But could just as easily be the club lead that's the best one either. If you take a look at the next page, which is at the top of page 53, it doesn't make any difference, but you can see how leading one of these suits benefits because they're in 4 spades and you should get 2 hearts and 2 club tricks right off the bat. Okay, does everybody see that? Because you have the ace and king between you and your partner of hearts and the ace and king between you and your partner. If you lead the jack of diamonds, they will make their contract because they will pull trump and then they will be able to set up the diamond suit to discard some of their losers. So a difference on what you led makes the difference in whether they make the contract or not. But again, it's listening to the bidding, okay? All right. Also in a trump suit, leading a short suit on your side sometimes will benefit if you have trump. Don't lead a singleton if you don't have any trump. It will not work, okay? If you're gonna lead a short suit like a singleton, doubletons, I will tell you, don't generally work that well. You can still lead them, but there's an awful lot that needs to work out right for you to be able to set up a trump trick if you're leading a doubleton. A singleton, though, your partner doesn't necessarily need to have too much, an ace or a king or something that'll help you in it, to be able to get control and then send it back to you so you can get a ruff. But often too, leading your singleton will be their long side suit. So sometimes, unless you can get your ruff, leading that suit will actually help declare it because it's going to set up their suit right away. Okay, and then if you can't get in between you and your partner to lead it back to get that trump, if they can pull all the trump first, leading the singleton didn't help you, and it did help declare it. Okay, so you have to think about that too. How many trump, can you get control back soon enough? Okay, and so if you take a look, I want to go with one more thing. I can't tell you how often this has happened. Somebody has let their singleton, right? All right, so they're in a heart contract, declare them. I just want to give you this example. They're in a heart contract, and their partner, they lead the singleton spade, and they've got ace little of hearts. Okay? So they play this, and their partner comes up with the king, and the ace is here in hearts. Okay? So then what happens? What happens next? They're going to declare, it's going to probably start pulling trump, right? Well, this person will hold up on their ace till the very end because they've been told to hold up on the ace. Well, if you hold up on the ace, what good did leading the singleton? We have to come up right away with our ace, right? And figure out a way to get to our partner so that they can lead a heart back so we can lead a spade back so we can trump it. Does that make sense? So you have to think about when you start by leading this, what your goal was, and not just then let, oh, I'm gonna hold up on my ace. Because then you don't have any more trump. So, does that make sense? I'm gonna tell you, I see that a lot. Not anymore though, because I brought it up, right? Okay. All right. So if you take a look at the top of page, let's take a look at page 54. Here's a contract, okay? All right, and this, again, listening to the bidding will help you often enough in defeating the contract. If you just listen to the bidding and try to picture what's in your hand, your partner's hand, and the declarer's hand. You'll see dummy in a minute. So the bidding went south bid a heart, north bid a spade, south bid one no trump, and then north went to 4 hearts. Does everybody see that bidding? Okay. All right. So south has a lot of hearts and north has hearts too, but they just decided to bid the one spade first to get a little more information about their partner's hand. So when their partner said one no trump, they showed a minimum fairly balanced hand. Now the partner north, who has an opening hand and heart support, can safely bid 4 hearts, okay? So what do you lead from this suit? Well, this is your hand. Oh God, it's not very lovely, is it? But what would we lead? Well, leading our diamond suit 4th down, that's not gonna really help too much. Do we all agree? I don't think we're gonna get much out of the club suit. Leading trump, well, we could lead trump, but that doesn't seem to do good. So we could lead our singleton spade. Because, again, they didn't support spades, so our partner is marked for some spades. Maybe they have something good. So if you take a look at the next page, we lead the 8 of spades, and our partner comes up with the ace. And they have to think about it. Why would my partner lead a spade? Well, hopefully, because he doesn't have too many of them, because I have 5 of them, right? So if we return it, our partner can give us, we can give our partner a ruff, all right? And if you can see, and again, we're gonna get in a little bit later on how you tell your partner to return a club. We're not gonna do it yet, but if your partner can figure out to lead a club at trick 3, you will come up with the ace of clubs, and then you will give them another spade ruff. And so you will have set the contract, this is always fun, before the declarer even got to start doing his thing, okay? Just by listening to the bidding, and your partner who has a bunch of spades saying, well, why did my partner lead that? try it, and when he roughs, you can figure out a way to set the contract. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah? Am I losing everybody? Okay, it's okay? All right. Again, you don't always have a singleton, and you have to, when you do have a singleton, you also have to have trumps to trump with, and you have to have some hope that your partner might actually have something in that suit in which to take control and lead it back to you for a ruff, okay? So leading a short suit is sometimes a good idea, but you just have to think about, is there a possibility that your partner could get in? And again, think about this. Take a look at the top of this contract at the top of page 55. You have 1 point, right? They are not in slam, which tends to give you an idea that your partner has some points. Again, it's putting the points together, because if you have 1 point and your partner doesn't have much, more likely than not, North-South is going to be a slam contract of some sort, or at least explored it. Don't we all agree? All right. So again, you want to think about these things, how the bidding went, why they're there instead of here, because it will help you place cards and at least some points in your partner's hand or your hand. Okay. But again, leading a short suit works sometimes, but not always. Now take a look at the bottom of page 55. Leading a short suit is not a good idea if you're going to get those trump tricks anyway. And it gives you an example. If you've got the Queen, Jack, 10, 9 of their suit, you are entitled to 2 tricks in that suit, correct? Because the ace and the king can only take 2 of them. So you are guaranteed 2 tricks in that suit. All right? So leading a singleton with this trump holding will not gain you anything, because you can trump it, but that's your trick anyway. All right? So if you think about it, so leading a shortness of this suit doesn't make any sense. Instead, because you have length in their trump suit, you want to try to lead your long suit to force them to trump. And we're going to show that in just a minute. Okay? Again, if you've got length in their trump suit, you want to try to establish tricks in other suits, not by roughing, because again, those are your tricks anyway. If you take a look, and this is what I want to show you, page 56. Remember how I told you how shortage in the declarer hand is not necessarily a good thing? All right? So let's take a look at page 56. They're in 4 spades, suckers. And we're going to set them, because this is defense class, right? Okay, so what would we lead? We could lead the 4 of diamonds, right? That's a possibility, but we have 4 spades. We have 4 of their trump. So we could lead the ace of diamonds, and then our partner wins with the ace, and then gives us a ruff, good, all right? But now what's gonna happen, partner's gonna pull trump, he's gonna get in by doing something, whatever. He's gonna pull trump, and then he's going to be able to run the rest of his diamonds. So you can see, leading your singleton diamond, see how it set up all their diamond tricks? All right, they had to force out the ace. That was their plan anyway, was to force out the ace, right? Okay, so let's see what happens if we instead, because we have long trumps, we lead our long suit. So let's lead the king of clubs. Now he can play the ace of clubs, it's gonna win, right? Now somebody's gonna get in, he's going to try to pull trump. Well, he's gonna be sadly disappointed when he has to use 4 of his trump to pull all your trump, right? If he does that, how many trump does he have left? 1, all right? And he's gonna have to give up the ace of diamonds and the ace of hearts to make his contract. Do we agree? All right, so whichever one he leads, we will now continue our club tricks, making him trump it, okay? Because he has to, right? That means he has no more trump. Well, he still has to give up the other ace. And when he gives up the other ace, what suit are we gonna lead? Clubs. And he doesn't have any more trump. So you can see why trumping in his hand, if somebody decided, well, I've got a singleton club, that's so good. You can see how that's not gonna help you, right? Does everybody see that? That's a very common mistake that people make. They think singletons in their declare hand are worth something. They're not. They're actually not a good thing at all. I mean, yes, you can stop them from running all their clubs, but a good defender is going to continue to make you trump them, because the more you trump in your hand, the more his trump suit becomes good. Right? That's called, it's called a forcing defense. Trumping in dummy, that's what he wants to do. That's not gonna help you, because that's what those little tiny ones in dummy are for, all right? You don't wanna trump in your hand the one with the long trump suit, because the more you trump, it shortens your ability to pull all the rest of the trump, and you lose control of it. It's called losing control, all right? So you can see the difference on this hand between leading your singleton. How many people would lead their singleton over their king of clubs before? A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people, okay? Without thinking about it. That's what this class is about, thinking about alternatives, okay? Okay. Going over to page 57. A lot of people have heard, when in doubt, lead Trump. Well, I don't know, sometimes, but sometimes leading Trump does make sense, sometimes it doesn't. And again, if you think, based on the bidding, that the declarer might be trying to trump something in dummy based on the bidding, then you might want to lead Trump to cut that down, because remember, that's declarer's plan, to rough stuff in dummy, to use dummy shortage points. And often you can find out that plan by just listening to the bidding. If you take a look at the bottom of page 57, here's like an example. This like comes out a lot. South opened a spade, right? North bid 1 no trump. They had their 6 to 9 points, half the bid. We know they do not have spade support. South said, okay, I have a second suit. I have hearts. Okay, so now dummy bids 2 spades. Pass, pass, pass. Okay, now let's think. How many spades does dummy have? 2, right? Because he has a minimum hand. His 1 no trump showed 6 to 9 points. If he had 3 spades, he wouldn't bid 1 no trump. He would bid 2 spades, right? We all agree that. Do we all? Okay. Right, and that's what we would do. Okay. All right. So we know that dummy has 2 spades. And what else do we know? He preferred his 2 spades over to the heart suit. He's limited on hearts too, right? So what he did was he put his partner back in his first suit, saying if we're going to play in a not so good contract, it might as well be your longest one, right? So he bid. So when we think about that, think about what declarer's plan is going to be. Not even seeing dummy, not even seeing it, but just on the bidding, what do we think one of declarer's plans might be? To rough hearts in dummy with his 2 spades, right? Okay, so then in that case, a really good example might be to lead spades. Take away his ability to do that. Because you can envision in your mind that that's his goal, that's his plan, and our job on defense is to thwart his plan, right? So again, a good lead might be to lead a trump, all right? And if you can see, let's just see, oh, that's not good. I want to take a look on page 58. Here we're going. Here's the hand, okay? So take a look on page 58. This is your hand, and we have just had that bidding. So it went a spade, 1 no trump, 2 hearts, 2 spades. Now, how many people are going to lead the ace of hearts? Okay. Again, before class, I could see. But now, knowing that declarer has at least 4 hearts, right? Do you really think leading the ace of hearts is going to work out well for your side? No. Are you always going to get that ace of hearts? Yes. More likely than not, unless the dummy is void, at which case, what would be the most important thing to lead? A trump, right? Because you want to promote your heart tricks, not the declarer's heart tricks. So in here, we would lead a spade and take a look at dummy. There it is. He chose spades over hearts. I think that was a good choice, don't you? Okay. So, and if you take a look, what would be declarer's plan? Declarer would be to eliminate the heart from dummy and rough 2 of his losing hearts with the spades and dummy, right? Do we all see that? I mean, wouldn't that be your plan? Right, hopefully. Okay, using what little dummy gave you to the best you could, all right? But you can see how important it is if you lead a spade off the opening lead, right? Now, your partner's not gonna get anything, but it's gonna take one of those spades out of dummy. So what's gonna happen? Well, now he has to give up a heart trick because his job, his goal, is to get rid of those losing hearts that are sitting there festering in his hand by roughing him in dummy, right? So he's gonna lead a heart. If he leads the 3 of hearts, what heart are you gonna play? The 10,
Yeah, because there's only a 5.
because there's only a 5 in dummy. There's no reason to put the king up. You wanna win with the lowest one you can, okay? You're gonna win the 10, and then what are you gonna win? What are you gonna play next? Another spade, right? His plan of rough and spade, of rough and hearts, just went right out the window. And whose heart tricks got promoted? Yours. You're now gonna get 4 heart tricks. Because at some point he's gonna have to lead him. He's got the queen and you've got the ace, king, jack over him. Okay? What you will not do is play your ace and king of hearts, because if you do that, he will get his queen of hearts. He has to play him at some point. They're not going anywhere else. Okay? All right, that's why it's so important to listen to the bidding. It's for some of you, it's probably a new thought, and that's what this class is about, is really thinking about the bidding, because the people that defend well, they're those people, before they make that opening lead, to say, okay, I want to just leave it, I want to leave the bidding cards out, I want to just take a look. All right, you got 5 spades, you got 5 hearts, and they're going to sit there and think about that before they make that opening lead, because I know I do it every time. And if you are on opening lead, and the bidding goes around, and you got your bidding cards out, because you're using the bidding boxes, right? If people start to put away, just say, I'm on open lead, just leave them out for a second, please, because I just want to review it. Take a sec to just make sure you know how the bidding, now it was 1 spade, 4 spade, you know, there's nothing to do. But, you know, a lot of times when you got some of that complicated bidding, you want to be able to remember. And once they put those cards away, then it's like, all right, now how did the bidding go? When you've got bidding boxes, it's right there. It's a visual. It's so much easier. Just say, wait, just leave them out for a sec. I just gotta get this in my head, you know? And take that second and do it. And you have every right to do it. And don't let anybody tell you you don't. They give you a problem, you call me, all right? But you have every right to do that, and you should. All right, okay. So that's kind of an example. Now, again, take a look, and there's an example on page 59 here, where East bid a club, South overcalled a diamond, West bid a heart, 2 diamonds, 4 hearts. Somebody goes to 5 diamonds. Now, they're not going to 5 diamonds necessarily because they think they can make it. Maybe they can. But often somebody will make what's called a sacrifice, depending on the vulnerability. They think that even if they get doubled, they will give up less points going down than you make in your contract. That's when they have to do the whole math, how it all works, vulnerable, not vulnerable. But anyway, thinking about that, if you know that your side has the balance of the high cards, points, right? Because you were in 4 hearts and you went there on purpose. They went to 5 diamonds for, you know, whatever. Leading a trump might be a good idea there. This way you don't give away anything. It cuts down possibly the roughing and dummy that they might have. And it will help promote cards on your side. So it's something to think about. When you've got the balance, again, if you've got the ace, king, queen of a suit, you certainly might be able to play the ace and take a look. But what you want to do is think about leading a trump in that situation, when you've got the balance of the high cards and they took your contract away from you. By the way, make sure you double that. Okay? And if you take a look on page 60, it shows you pretty much that hand. Okay? They have a lot of diamonds, and you can see you've got some heart tricks coming, and some spade tricks. But if you trump if you lead the trump first, it will help to cut down their ability to trump stuff in dummy without giving away any kind of finessing or anything in your high card suits. So it's just something to think about, okay? This is just an example, but it does come up a lot. So I'm not going to say to always lead trump, but certainly something to think about. Also, one caveat, if you have a singleton trump, don't lead it, okay? Because generally speaking, if you've got a singleton, then the trump holding for you and your partner, remember you're a team, is in him, and you're just finessing him. So if you've got a singleton, don't tend to lead trump. All right, if you've got a doubleton or 3 of them or whatever, lead it away if you want, okay? And again, take a look on page 61, again, it's talking about listening to the bidding and coming up with your lead, all right? So on the top of 61, north bids a club, south bids a diamond. Okay, north bids a heart, south bids a spade. Well, the unbid suit's kind of gone there, isn't it? So north goes to 2 spades and south goes to 4 spades. Let's not get into how this bidding went, okay, because it's not very likely with the bidding that would go on in this room, but this is how it went. So they bid all 4 suits, okay? So now we have to take a look. Well, the guy who bid a diamond is on our right? He's going to be the declarer. So leading the 2 of diamonds probably not a very good idea because he bid a diamond, and he bid it before a spade. So generally speaking, he probably has some length in diamonds. So leading that, would that help us or would that help the declarer? Probably the declarer, right? If he's going to take any kind of finesses, he's going to finesse into our king. So we probably wouldn't want to lead that. We could lead a heart, but we've got queen 10-9. That doesn't look very appealing. We could lead a club. We could lead the 5 of clubs, but again, the dummy bid clubs, and that's kind of giving him a free finesse, you know? So here might be a perfectly good reason to lead trump, because we don't want to break another suit, we don't want to give away anything, we don't want to help the declarer. Again, helping declarer, not good. So here might be a perfectly good reason to lead trump, okay? I don't really want to lead anything else, so I'll lead a trump. Now, when you lead a trump, your partner shouldn't be thinking 3rd hand high, all right? 3rd hand high is when your partner has led his suit, or your suit, right? That's your suit. When you're leading trump, do we all agree that's not your suit? All right? So your partner is under no obligation to come up with 3rd hand high. We're not promoting tricks in their suit, not on purpose, okay? So he has to take a look and make the best decision he can make. Now, sometimes he has to, because if he leads it, the queen is here, and he's going to have to play the king. I mean, that's just normal. But that's something that the declarer can do anyway, all by himself. So you shouldn't have to worry about the fact that, oh, I cost my partner his king. No, chances are the declarer's going to lead the queen, capture your partner's king anyway. Okay, so don't worry about that. But again, if they play low, your partner is under no obligation to come up with this king, because it's not like we're working to promote anything on our side. We're just trying to get trump off. Okay? And it gives you an example of that hand here, okay, where you can see if you lead anything else, it kind of helps the declarer. Oh, the diamond lead, ooh, that's not good, okay, because you just gave away your king. You can see how anything else really does kind of help the declarer, but the trump doesn't help them at all. I mean, they can pull trump all they want. It's not going to help your side at all. Right? Does everybody see that? Yeah? But I've got my big note about don't lead singles and trump. Okay. All right. All right. I'm probably taking a little long. I'm boring you the heck out of you guys. I'm sorry. It's just that this stuff is so important, you know? But let's take a look here. Now, here the bidding went. Again, this just gives you some examples, okay, of the thought process about coming up with a lead. So north bids a diamond, south bids a heart, north bids 2 hearts, south goes to 4 hearts. Pretty easy, okay? So they bid diamonds and hearts. So now, I think we're probably going to lead one of the unbid suits. What say you? Right? So we're probably going to lead a club or a spade. Which suit would you choose? The clubs, right? Because we have a top of a sequence we can lead, which will automatically promote tricks, we hope, on our side, without giving the declarer a free finesse, okay? So of those 2, we would lead the queen of clubs, all right? If you take a look at the next one, all right, again, they're in hearts, we might lead our singleton spade, right? All right, because the diamonds, well, they bid diamonds, somebody did. That's not going to help. We have the 10 and the 9, but I don't see any help there. It's going to take an awful lot of help from our partner to set up that club suit, right? We've got the ace of trump. We're not going to lead trump because we've got the shortage, not necessarily them. So here we would lead the 6 of spades, okay? Our partner, in a perfect world, would have the ace and return it to us. But if not, we will get in with the ace of hearts right away. Again, we wouldn't duck it because we'd want to come up with it right away because we want to get to our partner so that they can give us a ruff, right? Does that make sense?
So what would you leave back then?
Well, we're going to get into that a little later, okay? There are some signaling that partner can give us that kind of gives us an idea, but we haven't gotten to that yet. But we will. So here again, we've got here we've got a singleton spade on the next one, the third one on that page, right? But again, we have long trumps, right? We have long trumps. We should, remember, they're in hearts, and we have 4 of them to the Jack 10. In theory, we should get a natural trump trick. Do we all agree? So leading our shortage doesn't really help us. But what might be good? Does anybody see another lead? The king of clubs, right. We've got long trumps, so we want to lead our long suit and make him trump him and establish our long suit while we can still get a trump trick in there. All right? So even though we have a singleton spade, getting a ruff in a trick that we really kind of expect to get anyway doesn't help us. We want to get tricks that help us. All right? So the king of clubs. On this one, the next one, again, they're in hearts, they've been diamonds, what would you lead? The one at the bottom of the page. The king of spades. Do we all agree the ace of clubs is not on the table? All right, just punking down an ace, not good for defense. Okay? Yes, our ace, we hopefully will get a trick, but we also want to get our spade promotion. So we would leave the king of spades there. Again, not the ace of clubs. I see that all too often. Oh, I gotta take my ace. No, you really don't. You really don't. Okay, take a look at the next one.
Page 63.
We're at the top of page 63, yes. Thank you. What would we lead there, do you think? Does any suit look appealing? No. So what would we might lead? A trump. Lead a trump. I don't want to lead any of those suits. Just lead a trump. Generally speaking, that's not going to help him. Because any finesse that's there, he can take on his own. Okay? All right? So does that kind of make sense? That's about leading your own suit. That's about thinking about the bidding and coming up with the suit to lead and then what card to lead in that suit. And the strategy of defense. Because defense is a strategy. And again, if you're not paying attention to what your partner's doing, that strategy goes right out the window. Okay? So you gotta be focused and attentive. And that's what we play this game for, you know? And defense is the one time you actually get to play with your partner. It's so much fun. It really is. But you gotta pay attention. You really do. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about what card to play. And again, when we're leading our partner's suit. Now, here we go. Take a look at the middle of page 63. All right? Okay, now, your partner has bid this suit, this generic suit, we don't know what it is, all right? Now, if you're gonna lead this suit, what card would you lead? If you had to lead the suit because you have nothing else to lead. Never, never lead away from the ace. Never, ever. This is a suit contract. Well, look what happens. You lead your 2, dummy plays the 8, your partner plays the jack, and declare wins his king. How many of this suit are you going to get now? 0. Okay? Now that doesn't mean you should automatically start leading aces. But if you determine that you are going to lead this suit, then the ace is the suit the ace is the card you're going to play. You will never, ever lead away from an ace on the opening lead of a suit contract. Please put that in your head. Staple it on your arm, okay? All right, on the opening lead, because this is what happens. I'm going to tell you so often. Now, when you do, and your partner comes up with the king and leads it back to your ace, you don't even notice it because it worked, okay? When it doesn't work, nobody realizes the fact that they just gave away tricks to the declarer, okay? And if you play your ace, you'll get your ace, but now declarer gets the king, because that will be a good trick, right? So sometimes, if I've got this holding, I won't lead my partner's suit at all. I'll lead something else. And my partner should figure out, well, he didn't lead it to me. He's either got none, or he wants me to lead it to him. All right? Just because your partner bid doesn't mean you have to lead it. Okay? Yes, dear?
Or he wasn't paying attention.
Or he wasn't paying attention. Did my partner bid? Oh, I didn't know. Okay? But you see the difference if you don't lead this suit, right? And partner gets in, leads, they're going to lead the queen, right? Well, whose king just got promoted, just went down the toilet, right? If your partner leads the queen, then declarer can play the king, but now you will play your ace, and we will still have a card trick. Or, if he plays low, my partner's queen wins, and that's good for our side. Does that make sense? So you see the difference on just plunking down that ace makes a difference, and leading away from it is really bad, because then you don't even get your ace. Okay? Right? Because remember, just because your partner bid a suit doesn't mean they promised the ace or the king. Just means that's what they were supposed to bid. All right? Again, so when you're going to lead your partner's suit, if you have to lead that suit, you would lead the ace over any other card. Otherwise, find another suit to lead. If you don't have the ace, then you can lead top of touching honors, your top of your doubleton, whatever you have, your normal lead. Okay? All right? But that's something I want you to think about, because people don't realize how much they give away by either leading away or plunking down the ace. Rarely does it help your side. Okay? Even if there's a singleton and dummy, they have to get rid of that singleton somewhere. Okay? More likely than not, you're still going to get your ace, but what you haven't done is set up the declarer's king. Okay? And whatever they discard on that king would have been your trick. Just remember that. Okay? All right? So again, leading your suit, you're going to make the same leads we talked about. So if they take a look on page 64, okay, you'll lead the king of this suit, okay? Now, what will happen is they will get a trick too, but you will automatically get one trick in this suit, in a suit contract. Do you see that? By playing the king, it forces out the ace, but your queen is automatically promoted. If you lead a little one, take a look what happens now. You lead a little one, they play little, declarer's gonna win their ace, their jack or their 10. They can play the ace, and now they can rough one in dummy. Dummy only has 2 of them. So you can see, some people say, well, I don't want to play my king because it's just it's giving it away. Well, yes, but it's promoting. Okay? What gives away is leading low from that situation. Okay? Now, if your partner has the ace, no harm, no foul, but chances are he doesn't. Okay? All right? And again, when you lead that, you also get a chance to look at dummy, which gives you a little better idea on how to go about the defense. Because once you see dummy, you get a little more information, you know? So take a look on page 65. Again, we're going to go over this. This is one of my big B's, and we're going to get to it. Yes, ma'am?
If your king goes around, at that point, would you assume that your partner has the ace?
Not necessarily, because a lot of times declarer will hold up. And we're going to get into it a little bit later on, defensive chapter 5.
Okay.
That's when we start talking. And that's when it's going to come really important to pay attention, because your partner will tell you whether to continue or not.
Okay.
Okay? But again, we haven't gotten to that, so I don't want to rush it, because we've got to get the basics here first. So if you take a look there on top of page 65, they're on a 4-heart contract, and you're going to lead the ace of diamonds. I think we all agree, right? Can't do worse than the ace and diamonds when you got the ace and king. Okay, so they're going to lead the ace. Now we're going to find out later how your partner should tell you to play the king, but for right now, we're going to do what everybody else in this room does, who doesn't pay attention to their partner and their partner signals, is they're going to play the king. Okay? Now, they have nothing better, so they're going to lead another one. And their partner can now rough it. Okay? We're going to show the high-low. Everybody should play the 7 first and the 2. We're going to get into that a little later, but I think most of us know how to give a high-low signal when your partner has led the ace. Big thing is, partner must notice. If partner isn't noticing, not going to do you any good. Okay? So partner must notice. But if you play the ace and your partner puts the 7 on, and now you play the king and your partner puts the 2 on, that means you should continue it, because your partner just gave you a high-low, and more likely than not, they can trump it, okay? You see the difference if you don't, the declarer is going to be able to pull all the trump, and now their queen of diamonds is a good trick. Does everybody see that? So by playing the ace and the king and the partner giving the high-low, so that they continue the diamonds, partner can now trump the queen of diamonds. Yes?
Okay, so the high-low, I maybe missed that class. The reason you play the 7 and the 2 is the 2 tells your partner to keep going.
two says don't, okay? So we're gonna get into that a little bit more, but generally speaking, when you've got two in a suit and your partner leads the ace, we know they have the king, because they don't just plunk down the ace, right? Right? So they play the ace, so you put the high, and then when they play the king, you put the low, and when you play high-low, that should say, I have a double set, okay? But we're gonna get into it a little bit more in chapter 5, but just so you know, because I think most of us do know that, and if you haven't, well, now you do, okay? But you can see the difference on signaling with your partner, how they could lead another diamond and you can trump it, okay? So between the ace and the king of diamonds, a trump trick, and now the ace of clubs, at some point, you will set the contract. So that's working with partner. If your partner does not continue diamonds, they will make the contract, okay? All right, that's why it's working with your partner so much. And they're going over here, we've talked about leads here a little bit more on top of page 66, and they give you some leads. Generally speaking, like it says here, lead the ace if you're gonna, but generally, just try to find something else to lead, okay? I really don't get in the habit of plunking down aces, because if you wanna help the declarer, that's the way to do it. You'll get your ace, but man, do you give up a lot of tricks, okay? All right, so really, that's like a last resort. Last resort is plunking down an ace. But again, if you have top of touching honors, it gives you some examples. With those sequence lead low or fourth lowest, again, you can actually in a suit contract lead third down. Now that means that whole rule of 11 won't work out. But again, remember, you're just leading low from an honor. So this is something, if you lead a low one, it's called Boston, right? A bottom of
Something.
something, top of, okay, there we go. So if you're gonna lead a little one, like let's say you lead the two, lead from something. So you've got an honor in that suit. 3 to the queen, 4 to the king, something like that, okay? If you don't have a good lead, like you don't wanna lead away from anything, lead a top of nothing. That's a very good lead. If you lead the 8 of something, that's generally speaking, unless it's a singleton and your partner can figure that out, all right? It just means don't do third hand high. Don't sacrifice anything. I don't want to lead this suit. I had to lead something. All right? So don't lead it back to me. I don't want it. Okay? It just means I can't lead anything else. So that means if your partner gets in at some point, don't return this suit. Find a better lead. Okay? All right? So just because you lead a suit, again, what card you lead should tell your partner whether you want to continue it or not. Okay? And low and high is a big factor in that. Okay? Okay, so take a look here. There's a few more examples. We've got to get going here. Okay, so and here the north bids a club, south bids a spade, north bids 3 spades. Oh, how many points does north have? North opened the bidding. I hope they have more.
Oh,
16, 17, or 18 points. 16, 17, or 18 points. They have a median hand because they jumped. Okay? South goes to 4. Okay. So what would you lead in this first hand if this was your hand and that was the option? 1 club, 1 spade, 3 spades, 4 spades. What would you lead on hand 1? Page 66. The king of hearts, right? We're going to promote a trick. Trick number 2. Hand number 2, what would you lead? Ace of diamonds, right? That's a good lead. Ace of diamonds, okay? What about the third one? Four of hearts or the 3 of diamonds, right? Crapshoot which one will work better, we don't know. Personally, I would lead the heart because I always like leading the major, but again, could just as easily be the 3 of diamonds, that's a good lead. But you're going to lead low from an honor, okay? What about the next one? And do not read the book.
Do you like that broken sequence thing
Well, you have, no, you don't have one.
there? Jack of hearts?
Jack, no, because you wouldn't lead the jack without the 10, okay? You'd have the jack 10, 8, that would be fine, but not away from an ace. This is a super. 4 clubs would certainly be a possibility. What else? Yeah, how about a spade? Is that jack of spades going to do you a lot of good? No. You really think so? No, I don't either. Right? A spade lead might be a good lead. right? I would not lead either the ace of hearts or the ace of diamonds. I would not lead either of those suits. So your choice is a spade or the four of clubs. So, if you determine that you must lead this suit, I don't know why, and I would tell you not to, then if you're going to lead one of the red suits, you would lead the ace. But I would highly suggest find another lead. Find another lead, because aces are meant to take things, not to just take a two. Okay? All right. There's a couple of reviewing on 67. They go back into the bidding reviews. Just a couple of things I want to go over in the middle of the page. This is reviewing, all right? Responding to a major suit, Nancy, here it is. Raise to the feet, 3 level with 3 card or longer support. No. 4.
Oh, see?
4. 4 or longer. All right, otherwise, what do? We just bid a new suit, and then we support later. I'm in responding to a major suit, 10 or 11 points,
67.
okay? All right, and I'm just saying that when it says raise to the 3 level with 3 card support, not in my world. That is, you need 4, okay? So what you would do with 10 or 11 points, you just bid a new suit. You can bid a minor. Remember, it's going to be a forcing bid. You can bid a minor. You can bid if they opened a heart. You can bid a spade. If you're just going to bid something new, and then you will jump raise afterwards, and that shows a limit raise of only 3 pieces. But if you do it directly, 1 heart, 3 hearts, 1 spade, 3 spades, you have 4 pieces every time. Please, that is so important. Okay. A couple of the other things that you're going to cross out, for those of you who didn't take the bidding class with me, when it says responding to a major suit 12 or more, bid 2 no trump, bid 3 no trump, Okay? All right? So, you're just going to bid a new suit?
Instead of 3 no trump.
Yeah, you've got too many points to bid. A 3 no trump should show 12 to 15, okay? A 2 no trump shows 11. And when I say 11, I mean a really good 10 to a bad 12, which is 11, okay? 2 no trump shows 11.
So in both of those, you did a new suit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, again, if you want to bid no trump, 2 no trump is not a forcing bid. It shows 11 points. So when it says here that this is, forcing, no, it's not. Okay? That is very old school. Nobody does that anymore. Well, very few.
Is there any discussion of, like, I changed it to say bid 2 no trump with a balance hand and 10 to 12?
That's what I said, which is 11, right? 10 to 12 is 11. So I said a really good 10 to a bad 12. Because generally when you open, so again, the 12 points is a little difficult. When you open, your partner should have 13 points, right? But there's, lane points and stuff. So if you've got, if they open with 13 and you've got 12, chance you really do belong in the Reno trump. Okay, so that's why if you've got a bad 12, you might take a point away. The same thing, if you've got 10, you might add a point if it's a really good 10. So what I say is 2 no trump, it's 11 points. So you figure it's in that range. But just count it as 11, because if you have 10 or you have 12, it makes a big difference, but you don't know. So I just say count it as 11. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. Again, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm totally confused.
Okay.
Would you please tell me where it's responding to a major?
Mm-hmm. Where it
What-
says,
what am
where
I
it says
changing
12 or
my
more,
book
at that
to?
point, it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one down. And see where it says bid 2 no trump with the balanced hand and bid 3 no trump with the balanced hand?
Right.
I want you to cross that out completely.
The balance hand.
Just completely, okay? All right? 2 no trump shows 11 points-ish. Okay, and 3 no trump should show 12 or 13 to 15. No more. Again, if you've got more than 15 points, you should just bid a new suit because you want to go slow. Right?
So you're saying the balanced hand part is no factor, you're just.
Well, the
showing
balanced hand is fine. So the thing is, let's say for instance, all right, so your partner opens a minor, and you do not have a 4-card major, because your first obligation, obviously, no matter how many points you have, is to bid a 4-card major. Do we all agree? So even if you've got 4 to the 6, you're gonna bid that 1 heart or 1 spade, even if you've got 20 points. That's your obligation, it's a forcing bid. If you do not have a four-card major, then you're probably gonna bid some level of no trump, assuming you don't wanna support your partner's minor, right? Which is generally speaking, you wanna bid no trump. So, one no trump is 6 to 9, and you can include a very bad 10, right? But it says 6 to 9, okay? Two no trump shows 11, which could be a good 10 to a bad 12, but it's 11. Yes, dear?
Can you describe what a bad is and what a good is?
A bad is you don't have any cards together, so you've got like queen, little, queen, little, king, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Something like that. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a bad 10. Okay? I don't have any 9s, 10s, 8s in there. I've got nothing together. Everything's just all hanging out there. Flat. Ugly. Bad 10. Bad 10. Bad.
No handshaking in this class, right?
Okay? But you put something like this. That's too many. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that's a lot. Hold on. Oh, that's like 9. Well, I'm trying to figure out, it's really hard. Oh, I can't pick that up.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Something along the lines of this. Let's see. Let me just, thank you very much. 9. Okay. 8. And we'll stick a jack here. Is that 10?
Good card.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. Okay? Now, even though you're flat, you've got like a lot of 10s and 9s and 8s and stuff is working together. So that would be a better 10. You stick something like this in there, you know, it gets even better, because now you've got a 5-card suit. Okay? So that's like a good 10. Okay? I'm just doing this out of my head. If I went to a book and got some examples, I could do much better, but this is just out of my head. Okay? But you can kind of see where you got these filler cards, because this suit is going to be able to be promoted, even if you don't have the ace, the king, or the queen, right? And you've got this stuff working together, so it's better than this one, where it's just everything's all out hanging. Does that make sense? Okay. That gives you some examples. So you have to figure out when you're evaluating your hand, is it a good 10, is it a bad 10? Okay? And again, depending on if you have, like if your partner had bid something where you had a fit with them, where you can figure a source of more tricks, then that goes up a little bit too.
Just to be clear, on this 2 no trump argument,
Uh-huh.
if my partner opens 1 spade and I've got 4, 3, 3 distribution, 4 cards and 12 points, what other bid do I have in 2 no trump?
Well, how many points did you have?
12 points, but only 4 cards. I can't bid 2 cards.
No, you can't, because you promised 5.
Right.
So then you have to determine, is that a good 12 or a bad 12? If it's a good 12, I'm gonna bid 3 no trump. If I don't like my 12, I'm gonna bid 2 no. I'm gonna take it down to 11. So again, it depends on where you think your source of tricks are, and if it's a good one or a bad one. And you're just gonna make a guess. If you bid 3 no, and your partner had a rule of 20, 12 pointer, chances are you might not make it. Or if we have no long suits, because remember, in no trump, you're generally trying to either have to have a ton of high card points, or you need to be able to promote long tricks and long suits. So if you've got some long suits in there that are promotable, that would elevate the quality of your hand.
But when you have 4, 3, 3, 3, I mean.
And I know, that's a bad 12. I would
sometimes
probably
you almost
bid-
subtract 1 right away.
So then I would bid 2 no. Then there you go.
With the 12, even though
Make it
12
11. Even though it's 12, make it 11. You know? Okay? Again, it is, it's not, there's no guarantee, so you have to make, and chances are, if you're me, you always choose wrong. But, you know, you have to make the best guess you can. So, but that gives you the idea behind it. You know what I mean? Because it's, but you should always assume 6 to 9. Never assume they got a 10. Always assume 6 to 9 and always assume 11, and you'll do fine. Okay? All right. And the same thing with responding to a minor suit, cross those two things out, same rules apply. Okay, I just want you to get those two sentences out of there, because why they're even in these books, I have no idea. And then responding to 2 clubs. Okay, this is really important. I'm on page 68 now. Does anybody have any more questions on that bidding though? Because this is a bidding review. Yes, did you?
Did you say cross out 2 whole sentences on the bottom of the page?
I did. That 2 no trump with a balanced hand and that 3 no trump. Just take those babies out.
I just like to-
It's 11 and 12 to 15.
So could you just put them up under that 10 to 11 category?
Could I what?
You said to cross them out, but they aren't listed under responding to a major suit.
Well, you can just cross out the point counts is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because it also says that those are both, that the 2 no trump was a forcing bid, and it is not. It is not. Your partner can pass that
So
if they
change
want.
the points count.
Yeah, just change the point count. You're right, I'm sorry. But I just like to get that out of here.
All right.
Okay? Again, for those of you who took the bidding class with me, this has already been written up in your club book ad nauseum. And in the play of the hand when we reviewed, it's there too. Okay? Okay, on page 68, this is again a little bit more reviews. Responding to an opening bid of 2 clubs, the yay bid, right? Your partner opened 2 clubs. That's always exciting. It's always exciting to do it, so your partner dashes your hopes. Okay, so what it says is 2 diamonds waiting is the general, and it's the one I teach more. There are other systems, okay, but it's the easiest. And when we're first starting out, I feel it's the best one to use because it gives you the most flexibility, and chances are the proper hand is playing it, which, as we learned from opening leads and stuff, having the proper hand play the hand is very, very important. And when your partner has opened 2 clubs, you really want to hope your partner can play the hand. I had to bid 3 no trump the other day when my partner bid 2 clubs. Oh, I was so upset, right? I was so mad at myself. I had nothing else to do. Oh, it's just horrible. It worked out okay, but it was I just felt bad because I just felt like I stole the hand from him. And anyway, I felt bad. Okay, so 2 diamonds is basically, it says nothing about anything. Okay, it just says I'm keeping the bidding open. You gave me a fake bid with a lot of points. I'm giving you a fake bid with okay. Now we're going to start to talk. Okay, you do not have to bid 2 diamonds though. You can bid your own suit if you have. Does anybody remember what the parameters are for bidding your own suit directly over a 2 club bid?
What's that?
8 or more points.
Okay, so let's just say, so 2 clubs, the next guy passes, and you're gonna make a forward-going bid. Normally it's 2 diamonds is waiting, right? But you don't have to do that. You can make what's called a forward-going bid. You can bid 2 hearts, 2 spades, 3 clubs, or 3 diamonds. Those are what's called forward-going bids. I have points too. I'm not broke, okay?
And I have 6.
Okay, so there are parameters though of what you have the minimum for these bids. They're all the same.
8. 8 points.
How many points? 8 plus points, right? High card points,
High card.
okay? How many pieces in your suit do you need?
2 at the top.
At least 5. Anything else?
2 at the top.
2 honors.
At least 2 honors in your suit. Okay? If you do not meet all 3 of these requirements, do 2 diamonds waiting. Okay, you can always talk about everything else later. Okay? But if you have these 3 parameters, these 3 requirements, you can bid any of these suits directly. But it promises.
Also, 2 no trump, right?
Do not bid 2 no trump. I do not bid 2 no trump. You will end up more likely to not play in the bid, play in the hand. You've taken up all that bidding room, and you should not be playing. If you've got enough points to bid 2 no trump, do 2 diamonds waiting, and just let your partner take control. Okay? You do not want to be playing in 2 no trump when your partner is over 2 clubs, if you can help it. Okay? And again, you always have the two diamonds waiting. The two diamonds waiting does not deny points. It's waiting. That's all it says.
It means you
Zero
might
set
have,
of points.
you might have
Not
8
if it's
points.
waiting, that's if you play a negative, okay? Again, two diamonds waiting does not deny points. I'm telling you, don't bid two no trump, because you will end up more like, I know, I'm telling you. Okay, yes, I'm telling you, do not, because it also has you bidding two no trump to show a thing, and I'm saying, don't do that. Just bid two diamonds waiting, okay? It will work out better for you. All right, you have the ability to show no points or something later on. All right? But if you bid two no trump to show the point, chances are good that you might end up playing the hand, and you will not make as many tricks if you play the hand most of the time. If your partner plays the hand, because the opening lead will come into the strength, and the strength is hidden, more often than not, you will make more tricks together if your partner plays it when they've opened two clubs. I'm just telling you. Okay? And that's why I'm going through this. All right? So try really hard to not bid the no trump. Okay? All right? And again, two diamonds waiting, you're always going to get another bid. It means nothing. Okay? And also because a lot of times then your partner now transfers, all those goodies kick in. Okay? Statement and the transfers will go into
Really,
I don't have this that often, but when you do, it's nice to know it's there. Generally, he'll bid a suit, okay, and then you can bid your suit. But a lot of times he'll bid two no trump, and then that shows 22 to 24. If he bids three no trump, that shows like 25 to 27. He's got more than that. I don't know what he's going to do. Okay, then you don't see him too often, so don't worry about it. Okay, but then all the statement and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then they talk about preempts. Again, and this is what happened in that one suit. They say like when your partner bids a preempt, you have a few options. You can bid game in partner suit. You can raise your partner suit to just a level. That's called just adding to the preempt. So if your partner bids two diamonds and you bid three diamonds, that's just making a week two into a week three. Makes it just harder for the next person to come in because they have to come in at the three level. That's not a bad ploy. It's never an invitation. Okay, you don't invite game that way. You can bid three no trump to make it. You can bid a new suit, but that says that you've got a long suit of your own. But it also shows that you have a strong hand because you don't take your partner out of a preempt without a strong hand, just because you don't like their suit. Because there's no chance that they're going to like your suit any better. All right, and what you're doing is you just keep bidding. Now the book says that bidding a new suit is a forcing bid. It is a matter of partnership agreement. Right? I do not play it forcing. Some people do, but you have to know because if you bid a new suit and you expect your partner to bid again and they don't, you'll be disappointed. So that's something that's on the convention card. New suit forcing. Talk it over. Is it or isn't it? And it can't be one time and one the other. All right? It always shows a strong suit, so regardless of whether you discuss it as forcing or not, if you can, your partner should strive to bid. Because if you've bid a new suit over your partner's preempt, you should have a strong hand. And they should strive to support you if they can. Okay? The other thing is the two no trump. If your partner has opened a week two, they don't discuss this in here because they're not going over. But the other thing you can do, if their partner opens a week two, you can do the two no trump feature asks. Does everybody remember that? It's part of the week two. Okay? And that is a forcing bid. That just says I want to hear if you've got an outside ace or king. Part of the two no, it's not a separate convention. It's part of the week 2 convention, all right? To no trump is forcing, it's not, you don't necessarily want to play in no trump. No, over week 2, no, it's a strong pick. It's showing an interesting game. You got it for an outside, which means outside of your suit, because we expect when you open a week 2 to have some honors in it. But outside of your suit, do you have an outside ace or king? It could be a singleton, all right? But what your partner is looking for is the strength of your hand and entries, okay? So if you've opened a week 2 and you have an outside ace or king, you tend to be closer to the 10 side than the 6 side, right? Because you got a couple of honors. So if you've got one outside of it, you tend to be closer to the 10 side. If you don't, you just rebid your suit saying, I don't have one. But it says I'm closer to the weaker side because I've only got honors in my suit. Does that make sense? Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that because that's part of the week 2 convention. All right, I want to just, I'm not going to go into this, and they talk a little bit about opening, making a plan, but we just had a whole class on that. Everybody pretty much was there, so hopefully you remember to make your plan. Let's play. All right, let's all put the hands together. Try to put together and let's see what we got. All right, so let's see. All right, so you're into it, but you want to be together.